Okay, in this video we're going to do 6.6. So we're going to be talking about functions, its operations, and composite functions. So first off, the rules. So if I have these equations of f of x and g of x, basically if there's a plus sign in the middle, we add them. If there's a minus sign in the middle, we can separate them and subtract them. If there's a multiplication sign, we could separate them and multiply them. If there's a division sign, we can separate them and divide them. So we're going to use this rule in the first couple here. So if f of x equals 4x plus 7 and g of x represents the equation square root of x plus x, what is f plus g and f minus g? Okay, so f plus g is the same as f of x plus g of x. So all I do is take my 4x plus 7 and add to it the entire square root of x plus x. The reason I use parentheses is because if I had a minus sign here, it would have to subtract from both of them. So we're going to go ahead and practice putting it with parentheses. So I keep doing it. Okay, a plus sign doesn't change anything, so we're just going to combine like terms. So 4x plus x gets me 5x. And then I don't have anything to add the 7 or the square root of x to. So that's my simplified answer. Okay, my next one, we're subtracting. So it means the same thing as f of x minus g of x. So I'm going to take those two equations, 4x plus 7, and subtract square root of x plus x from it. Okay, this subtraction sign I need to distribute. So I get 4x plus 7 minus the square root of x minus x. So now when I combine like terms, I got 4x minus x, which gets me 3x. I just attached my 7 and I attached my negative square root of x. Okay, my next two, we're multiplying and dividing. So I got x squared minus 9 and x plus 3. So this represents the same as f of x times g of x. So I'm going to be multiplying them this time. So I got x squared minus 9 times x plus 3. So in this situation, since I have two binomials, I'm going to FOIL. So x squared times x gets me x cubed. My out squared, I got x squared times 3, so 3x squared. My in squared is negative 9 times x, so negative 9x. And my last is negative 9 times 3, so minus 27. And there are no like terms to combine. Okay, this one means the same thing as f of x divided by the g of x. So I got x squared minus 9 divided by x plus 3. Okay, if I go back, I forgot to talk about restrictions. So there are some restrictions to these. So when we're talking about the restrictions, x cannot equal negative numbers in these ones. Because if I had a negative underneath my square root, it would be imaginary, so in which case it doesn't work. Okay, so in this situation, we should be all good because it doesn't matter if I put negatives or positives in. All my answers should be real every time. Some just might be decimals. So now moving on to this one. We're trying to simplify, so let's go ahead and factor the top. So what is missing is my b, so if I wanted to add a b in there, I'm trying to think of what multiplies to get me negative 9, adds to get me 0, so that is positive 3 and negative 3. If I have the same thing on top and the same thing on bottom, and I'm multiplying in between, I can go ahead and cancel the things that are the same, so my answer is just x minus 3. Okay, my restriction this time is if I look at my bottom, x cannot equal negative 3. Because if I have negative 3 plus 3 in the bottom, that gets me 0. Remember, if I have 0 on the bottom, we're dead. It doesn't work. That gives me no solution. So it's kind of like saying which x values will make me get a no solution or an imaginary. Okay, my next set, composite functions. So when we're talking about composite functions, they're going to represent something like this. So it's going to be called g with the function of s, written as this. So it's got this little, it's not a multiplication sign, it's kind of like a small circle, okay? And we rewrite it like this, where f of x is inside g of x. So the way that we're going to do it is we're going to solve the inner one first. So we're going to take whatever our x value is, and we're going to plug it in for my inner one, so f. Then I'm going to do step 2. I'm going to take that answer and then plug it into my g equation. Okay, so right now, x represents this negative 3. So I need to plug it in to my f, because right now this represents g of f of x, or with that negative 3 instead of x, it represents this. So I need to plug it into my f equation first. So I got f of negative 3 equals negative 3 minus 5. So I got negative 8. I have to take that and plug it now into my g equation. So g of negative 8, so I plug negative 8 in. Remember, when I take a letter out and put a number in, I have to use parentheses, so negative 8 squared is 64. So that's my final answer. So you take whatever your x value is, plug it into the thing right in front of it, and then take that and plug it into the thing in front of that. Okay, so this time I got x squared and x minus 3. So if I rewrote this, this is g of f of negative 2. So I need to plug it into my f equation first. Remember, when I take out a letter and put in a number, I need parentheses. Negative 2 squared gets me 4. I then need to take that 4 and plug it into my g equation. So I got g of 4 equals 4 minus 3. So my answer in this case is 1. Okay, if I move over, this time I got a negative 3, so I got g of f of negative 3. Okay, so this time we're plugging it into my f equation again. So remember, I take out a letter, put in a number. I need to use parentheses, so I got negative 3 squared, which gets me 9. Now I got to take that and plug it into my outermost thing, so my g. So I got g of 9 represents 9 minus 3, which is 6. So my answer this time is 6. Okay, if I go over here, this time we have f of g. So I got f of g of 0. So this time I need to plug it into my g equation first. Okay, so I have g of 0 is equal to 0 minus 3, so negative 3. Now I need to take that and plug it into my f equation, my outermost. Okay, remember, when I take out a letter and put in a number, I need to use parentheses, so negative 3 squared is 9. If I go over here, I got f of g of negative 1. I got to plug it into my g equation first. So I got g of negative 1, so negative 1 minus 3, which gets me negative 4. I need to take that and plug it into my outermost equation. So my f equation, so negative 4, remember I take out a letter, put in a number. I need to use parentheses. Negative 4 squared then gets me 16.